seeking to solve one of the most frustrating problems that we encounter daily, right? Searching for a file or a photo or an email or even a web page from just a few days ago, it should be simple, but often it's just not. You have to remember, hey, where did I put that file folder? Or where was it in many of my browser tabs that were open?
A simple premise of a problem to fix. But I don't recall the last time the tech press, and just the press in general, got so excited in their condemnation of a new Windows feature. Windows Recall, a privacy nightmare? Asked Computer World. More certain of its position, Microsoft's new Windows 11 Recall is a privacy nightmare, stated Bleeping Computer's headline. The Times of London got in on the act with Microsoft's security nightmare AI records everything you look at. And Forbes honed in on the concerns of its audience with Copilot Plus PCs could be a privacy nightmare for professionals. But I've gone on record here telling you how excited I am about these new AI features and how in my estimation they don't go far enough. So am I just some security illiterate AI fanboy? Or have all these publications kind of missed the point? Let's dive into this issue. But first, a quick introduction. My name is Nick DeCourcy. I'm the owner of Bright Ideas Agency, a digital transformation consulting company focused on the needs of small and medium-sized businesses. I'm also the author of Who's in the Copilot Seat, a guidebook on adopting AI technology. If you're interested in working with me, or you want a copy of my book, there are links down below to find out more. Let's take a quick look at what Recall is all about.
My team developed Recall to help you find anything you have ever seen or done on your PC. We leverage the power of the MPU to ensure content stays on your device, which makes the experience fast and maintains your privacy. With Recall, I no longer have to go on a searching expedition. I remembered in the outline we had added a purple chart with writing, a chart with purple writing. And to find the PowerPoint, all I had to do was simply use my voice to search for that clue that I remember. In a few seconds, Recall found the deck for me. And notice that it took me to the exact slide that I remember, saving me even more time.
Looking at this product, I can completely understand why any user might have security questions or privacy concerns. The idea of recording what you're doing on screen is something that introduces risk, particularly I would imagine if it's on a corporately owned device. We all probably recall the lengths that some businesses went to in monitoring their employees, particularly as reported in the early days of the COVID pandemic. With any new technology comes new risks, and it's for individual users or businesses to balance the potential utility of that technology with their risk profile. This is a technology that seeks to address a very common problem that we've been trying to tackle since the birth of the PC. That with the growth of data and the growth of jumping between different software, our ability to record where a certain file is or some necessary information is stored doesn't stand up against the complexity of the problem. Consequently, finding stuff takes too long, and too often we redo work that's already been done because we can't find it later. Search within particular apps or ecosystems has been getting better for the last 2 decades as we've moved workloads to the cloud. But even with Microsoft's most advanced indexing technology, the semantic index for Copilot, it still suffers from one big problem. It only has visibility into part of what we do. The idea of Recall is that as long as you've done it on your PC, whether it's in the browser, whether it's in WhatsApp, whether it's in some other type of app you're running, your PC can recall it. Microsoft clearly understood that this capability would give people pause and positioned it strongly as very secure. First, they highlighted how it will be locked to the PC. This data will never touch the cloud and is indexed and processed on device only. Second, it's only going to be available on those PCs that meet the security standard of the Copilot Plus PCs, which were explained as being securely designed from the ground up, including Microsoft's new Pluton security chip. The recall data will be encrypted on device, and on suitably licensed devices will be under BitLocker protection. Last, you have to opt in to using it, or your business can through group policy, and you have options about what it records. By default, it won't record the content of any in-private Edge windows, but if you want to exclude certain websites or apps from recording, you can. And if you want to delete any recording retrospectively, you can do this too. In my mind, my biggest concern in hearing this is that those security and privacy provisions are too exacting to make this usable. I like the idea of recall, but I use multiple Windows devices. If my recall history is only going to be available per device, then instead of remembering what app did I use to do something, I now just need to remember what PC did I use. This, to me, doesn't solve the problem they are trying to address. Between the articles I've read, there are a number of big issues people have raised about this technology. To paint it as this privacy nightmare that seems to have become the tagline in the press. So let me dig into several of these to highlight why I think this reporting is overblown fear-mongering by journalists who have got so used to turning any story with AI attached to it into a crisis that they can no longer see the wood for the trees. If you're enjoying this video and it's bringing value to you, please hit the like button to help it get in front of more people. And if you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe to the channel. In Computer World's article, a VP at security firm SonicWall is interviewed and states the real threat is the potential usage attackers will gain out of this feature. But the reality is that there's a lot of places where if bad actors get in, very bad things can happen. Is Microsoft Recall a new surface that adds some risk? Yes. But so are the passwords stored in Edge, or perhaps more indicative of what I'm explaining, the ones that were stored in LastPass. So too are the photos of your driver's license or social security card that you really know you shouldn't have on your device, but you do because you just need that data so often and it's inconvenient to find them out each time. And what about your extensions in Chrome? Are you really checking the permissions that they want and you're working through whether they should have them before you click yes and install that new trendy extension that's going to help you out with this task or other? I'm not saying that a software like Recall comes with no risks, but I don't really see how this is creating a brand new set of risks. In Bleeping Computers article, it's stated, Microsoft admits that the feature performs no content moderation, meaning it will gobble up anything it sees, including passwords in a password manager or your account numbers on your banking website. But the reality is that in the vast majority of cases, text like passwords are rarely displayed in plain text on your screen. And if you're using an app or web service that insists in displaying plain text passwords, then I would worry about the security of that app or service long before I'd worry about the security of Recall. When setting passwords, this can be a little different, but remember that Recall can be deactivated or deleted, and there are things we have to do on our computers all the time that we do for security in balance with the value we get from whatever service we're using. Microsoft has described the security wrapper that sits around Recall, and to me it sounds very similar to the security wrapper that sits around displaying a plain text password in my password manager. If the recall data is not less secured than your password manager data, I'm not really clear what the problem is. Obviously, we will need to look at the specifics of this, but on the basis of how this feature is described, I don't think this is a sky is falling kind of issue. The article in The Times cites Kevin Beaumont, who kind of makes this point in my opinion. He states, if a malicious threat actor gains access to a system, they already steal important databases stored locally. They can just extend this to steal information recorded by Copilot's recall feature. Let's step back to security basics. We talk about zero trust in IT security a great deal, but the reality is that none of us are really able to access anything with 100% zero trust. When we purchase a computer, we must trust the physical equipment we are receiving. If there are security issues at the hardware level, nothing we do at the software level can be regarded as completely secure. This is one of the reasons that issues of supply chain integrity and physical security of devices is so important to creating a robust security posture. From there, we have code that runs on that hardware. We must trust the firmware that is applied to that hardware and keep that firmware updated from a verifiably secure source in order to be able to trust the physical device we're working on. And from there, software. And the base layer for that is some kind of operating system. And whether that's Windows or Mac OS or iOS or Android or Linux or something else, in order for our work on that computer to be secure, we must trust that the operating system is secure. You can build the most secure, zero trust compliant, security best practice optimized web application that has ever existed. But if there is any security defect in the hardware, firmware, or operating system layer of a particular user, then we cannot trust that that user's interaction with that software is secure. There are of course mitigations that have been established to try to minimise the impact of any of these concerns. You'll recall that Windows 11 was the first version of Windows to require a TPM or Trusted Platform module. This is a hardware device that seeks to separate the responsibility for securely identifying the computer from the potentially insecure hardware it's running. Another mitigation is virtualization, where we seek to abstract running code from the hardware it runs on, another capability built into Windows for secure computing. Trust in any vendor's security should never be blind trust. But if you trust a vendor so little that from the outset you don't believe they have good intentions around security, you just cannot use that vendor's products. But Bleeping Computer goes further in its article by stating, first and foremost, large companies have a history of exploiting users' data for their own profit, making it hard for users to trust Microsoft when they say they won't access recall data. Foundationally, if you choose to run Windows as your operating system, calling into question the intent Microsoft has in building security into the platform is counterproductive. There will be vulnerabilities that turn up from time to time, sure, and there are lots of opinions on this. But the reality is that if you don't trust Microsoft to at least try to secure its systems and your data in the way it describes it's going to, the only logical recourse is to not run Windows. And while you're at it, don't use Microsoft 365 either, as this presents exactly the same problem. Points like this one are nothing but scaremongering in my opinion. Jumping from Microsoft announcing recall to them monetizing your private data as some tech giant overlord is a wild and illogical leap into nonsense. Are you getting ready for Copilot for Microsoft 365, or have you already started using it and need more help to maximize your return? My new Copilot for Microsoft 365 adoption package puts together all the consulting and training services most small and medium-sized businesses need when rolling out Copilot, and packages them together with one transparent and fully understandable per-user price. I will work with you to ensure your technical baseline is established to get the best from Copilot, help your leaders understand AI technology, train your end users in how to use Copilot, work one-on-one with your executives to build their generative AI skills, and help you establish the communication and engagement framework that will make you successful in the long term. Availability to work directly with me is limited, so if you're interested in getting this type of help to ensure your business is truly getting the best from Copilot, check out the link below where you can get started with a free, no obligation consultation to find out if this is a good fit for you. In my opinion, Microsoft did everything right in announcing this feature to highlight that it understood and had considered its impact on user privacy. I think this showed learning on Microsoft's part through its AI journey, but despite highlighting the right features to eliminate most concerns, it was eviscerated in the press, with few outlets that I saw stepping back and considering what practical benefits this type of innovation will bring. If AI tools are to be our assistants, then I want them to be looking over our shoulders most of the time. And Microsoft software and cloud technologies, while not being perfect, are a far better shepherd of our most sensitive and confidential data than any of the thousands of opportunistic AI-based SaaS startups that have jumped into being, many with highly questionable privacy terms. Microsoft is an easy target to bash. I do it myself here fairly often. But we must step back and realise that in what is a quickly changing market, if we want to gain the most advantage from these advances with the minimum risk, then it, along with big tech competitors like Apple or Google, are probably the safest bets. I want a less secure but more effective recall. I have no issue with images of my PC use being in Microsoft's cloud. Everything else I do is already in Microsoft's cloud, so why should I care? If that is the data needed to truly let me find anything I've seen, or to truly allow Copilot to learn how I do a task so it can remind me about it or do it for me, then that's a huge upside. I want the semantic indexes on each of my PCs from Recall to be joined with the Copilot semantic index in the cloud. I want to be able to utilise Copilot's new agent capabilities to pull things together from all those sources. Imagine a world where I can say, "Hey Copilot, email my client with a meeting request for next Tuesday when I'm free around lunchtime. Let's host it in that restaurant I was looking at last week that had some orange chicken dish on the menu. Make a reservation through OpenTable for that." To do that, Copilot is going to need some data. And if we're too scared to let it see that data, we're never going to get there. What do you think? Are you scared of Recall? Or do you see this as a logical step in this journey? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching through to the end. Until the next video, bye bye.